Good morning. I better get my glasses on because I think I can hear that that's my yoga music. I have several different slide selections up here. Now I just need to add my other camera before I forget. It's been kind of a weird morning. I usually do all this on this slide and then I switch to the class starts soon slide and then I go live there, but for some reason I don't know. I must have brushed by the live button. Hello. And I was live the whole time I was doing the setup. I don't think anybody else was watching, but in case you were, that's what I do in the morning before I start the class. So welcome to Friday. It's a humid Friday, isn't it? But that rain was certainly needed. My flowers are happy. The cooler weather has given them a good start out there. Today we have a focus. We have a pose that we're going to kind of explore and tweak. It's Utkatasana. We often call it chair pose because you either look like you're shaped like a chair or you look like you're about to sit down in a chair. It can be a love-hate relationship with that pose. And I think with a little awareness along the spine and the tilt of the pelvis, I think you might enjoy this pose a little more. Meet me back on the mat. Let's get started. We're going to start on our backs and keep the knees bent and walk your feet wide to the left and right edges of the mat. Now bring your knees together. This should be a very comfortable position. If it's not, you can bring the feet hip distance apart. You can even extend the legs long, but typically legs long is potentially uncomfortable if you have some back issues. So just keep that in mind. This is an option for Shavasana as well, constructive rest. I want you to bring your hands to your belly. And as you inhale, expand the belly. Feel the belly lift underneath the hands. And as you exhale, just feel the belly soften and sink. Inhale and exhale. This is diaphragmatic breath. This is how we should always breathe. This is a good way to practice diaphragmatic breath on your back. It's a little tougher to cheat with this shape. You almost have to breathe diaphragmatically. And sometimes we need to relearn how to breathe properly. We've been so used to holding the belly in and only breathing into the chest. 3 more breaths here. And the last 2 breaths, see if you can bring awareness all the way around, wrapping around to the spine and the abdomen. And notice that that expansion happens all the way around. Inhaling and exhaling. Now walk your feet so they're right in front of your hips, right in front of your sit bones. Knees, feet, sit bones all lined up. I want you to take your hands to the top of your pelvis, so right at the crest of your pelvis. As you inhale, tip the pelvis, lift the low back. Really exaggerate that. And then as you exhale, flatten the low back. Push the low back down. Seal it down to the floor. And the hips aren't going to lift. We're just going to press the low back down. Now inhale, lift. This is pelvic tilting. And exhale. Press the low back down. Like you had to glue your back to the mat. Press it down. Let's do 3 more. Feel the movement that's available in the pelvis. 2 more. Remember the sensation as we move through the practice today. Last one. And then just let the pelvis land. Wherever it lands, pause and breathe. Let's add a little movement now. So with your inhale, I want you to reach long and lift the low back. And with your exhale, bring both knees in, flatten the back. Inhale, reach long, lift the low back. Exhale, knees in, Utkatasana, flatten the low back. No hurry, take the full inhale. We'll do 3 more. Here's number 1. As you have an arc in the lumbar spine, an exaggerated arc, that's an anterior tilt of the pelvis. And as you're flattening the low back, that's a posterior tilt. So anterior means the front of the body, and posterior means the back of the body. And then bring the arms down to the sides. Keep the feet hip distance apart. Flex your feet. This is called Utkatasana, so mountain pose on our back. I want you to lift the shoulder blades and tuck them. Turn the palms up. Make this active, so this isn't corpse pose. This isn't Shavasana. Just notice. This is a more engaged supine on your back, mountain pose. Let's rock up to the seated position. I'm going to turn and face you. Sukhasana would be good. Remember, you can always prop yourself up on something to tip the pelvis forward. You have a little anterior tilt here to open up the hips. Let's do cat-cow in this shape, but with awareness to the sit bones. In fact, before we do that, let's rock and feel the sit bones side to side. So feel those points below you, and they really do look like, if you kind of make a knuckle with your index finger, they look like that. They're kind of a little loop, with sort of a point, sort of a rocking chair rung shape. And then come to stillness. Take your hands to the top of your hips. As you inhale, tip the pelvis forward. Lift the heart, lift the gaze. So nice back bend. And as you exhale, round the spine. So we're going past flattening the low back to rounding the low back. Inhale, tip the pelvis forward. That's an anterior tilt to the front of the body. Exhale, we're going to go right through neutral and then a posterior tilt, round the back. Let's go one more each way. Tying it with breath. And then come back up to neutral. Hands on the tops of the hips. The pelvis is often referred to as a bowl, the pelvic bowl. So right now we're neutral. If you had soup in the pelvic bowl, you wouldn't spill any. Let's inhale, reach up. Take a gentle twist to the right. Wake up the whole spine. Inhale, arms up. Exhale, twist to the left. Inhale, up. Let's laterally flex. So right hand comes down, left arm over. Inhale, up. Exhale, second side. Inhale, both arms up. Now open the arms shoulder distance apart and imagine you're pulling down a bar. So we're coming into goddess. Stay nice and open through the front chest and through the back chest. Bring your hands to heart and keep that balance. So the pelvis is balanced, the shoulders are balanced. Reach up through the crown of the head. Think long spine. And at the same time, there's a grounding down through the sit bones, a lengthening downward and a lengthening upward. That's called axial extension when we're referring to the spine. Come over the knees, meet me in table. A little more pelvic awareness. Find neutral. Wrists under shoulders, knees under hips. Reach through the crown of the head and reach back with the hips and the tailbone. Now let's come into cow. So belly button lowers, chest comes forward, gaze goes up. Extending through the spine, back bend. Round the back now. Tuck the tailbone. Cat. Two more each way. Feel the movement of the pelvis. The anterior tilt is when the belly button's reaching towards the ground and you're in a back bend, cow. Posterior tilt is when you're in cat and the tailbone is tucked. One more each way. These gentle pelvic tilts are so helpful for the health of especially the low back, the lumbar spine. And that tends to be the place for a lot of trouble with the discs in between those vertebrae. They're big, beefy vertebrae. They hold a lot of weight, take a lot of shock, and we don't oftentimes hold them in alignment. Tuck your toes. Let's come up to down dog. Let's wiggle, find some space. Stretching out the hamstrings, the backs of the legs, backs of the calves. Reaching long through the entire side bodies. Ribs are long, fingertips are spread wide. Bend your knees, press your belly back to your thighs, and then reach up with the sit bones straight up, and the heels reach down. Take a couple breaths here. Clear down into the pelvis with that inhale. And even in the shape, see if you can bring some awareness to expanding the abdominal cavity. Giving the diaphragm a place to press down into to draw a nice, big, healthy breath into the lungs. Look forward. Let's step forward. 2 big steps. 1, 2. Feet under hips. Now hook your thumbs into your hip creases. Keep your knees bent here. Open those shoulders again. So balance the shoulders. Push back on the hips as you reach forward with the crown of the head and you work to straighten the legs. Feel the axial extension here, the spine nice and long. We'll take a couple of breaths here. Pulling your feet away from each other in this shape, an isometric contraction will help support the back. That lumbar spine, exhale, fold. Pull the feet away from each other, swing your arms out and up. And exhale the hands home to the heart. I think I'll step back a little bit. All right, let's work a little on chair pose. I am going to turn this way. So I want you to take your hands to find the tops of your hips. And plant the feet hip width distance apart. So the heels are right underneath those sit bones. Little softness in the knees. Now tip your pelvis forward. So this is cat or cow back. So we've got a little back bend going on here. Actually, a lot of back bend in the low back. Now come back to neutral. Tuck your tailbone, flatten the low back, and even round back there. So that's a posterior tilt. Anterior tilt and posterior tilt. Let's go one more each way. And then find neutral. Keep the knees bent a little bit. Bring those fingertips along your thighs. Shoulders are open, but not overly open, so balanced. I want you to start to bend the knees like you're going to reach down towards your ankles. And you probably won't get real far. Tuck your tailbone a little here. Start to flatten the low back. Look down at your toes. You should be able to see at least the tips of your toes, at least that big toe. Bring the hands to heart. Push the palms of the hands together. Drop the shoulders out of the ears. And breathe. Reach through the crown of the head, and at the same time, that tailbone feels heavy. It feels like you have a big dinosaur tail. We'll hold this for 3 more breaths. This is a version of chair pose, so you can feel the strength that you're building in the front part of your thighs, the quadriceps. And this is a squat with good alignment. Squatting is a very important skill to retain as we get older. Now inhale, reach up, straighten the legs. Exhale, fold forward here. Bend your legs as much as you need to as you fold forward. Now hook the thumbs in the hip creases, lift halfway. Push the thigh bones back, reach through the crown of the head, and now add just a gentle internal rotation of the thighs. So it's like you're trying to push the inseams of your pants back behind you. Feel that give you a little more space in the low back. Now soften through the knees and fold. Pull the feet away from each other. Swing your arms out and up. And exhale. Bring the hands home to the heart. Let's practice Utkatasana one more time, and then we will weave it into a sun salutation. Surya Namaskar B includes Utkatasana. So feet hip width distance apart. Let's play a little with the pelvic tilting. You bring some awareness to the position of the low back. Find neutral, so the soup's not dumping in the front or in the back. I'm going to reach down towards my ankles. My sit bones are kind of hovering over my heels, kind of floating over the heels. Bring the hands to heart. Drop the shoulders, balance the shoulders. Breathe. You can even pull the feet away from each other in this shape. Another isometric contraction, but it just supports the pelvis. Now this time we're going to fold forward from this shape. So from chair, fold forward. I love to fold forward from chair with that bend in the knees. Lift halfway, so hook the hips, roll the thighs inward, reach through the crown of the head. Exhale, fold. Step back in plank. And drop the knees. Let's come to the belly. And let's shift gears here a little bit. We'll do a few back bends, a little baby cobra, just a small back bend. Float your hands with this. Lift up, keep the low ribs on the floor. Exhale down. How about 4 more? Inhale. And exhale. 3 more. Roll the outer hips, outer thighs, out and down towards the mat. So it's really the same action as drawing the inseams to the back of the body. So there's a little internal rotation of the thighs, and that gives you some more space in the low back and the lumbar spine. Tuck the toes, press into table, lift into down dog. And we'll hold here. You can wiggle if you need to. I think I'm going to scoot my top mat back a little. And then stepping forward, big step. Pull the feet away from each other, swing the arms out and up, and exhale the hands home to the heart. So that, boy, I'm still like really cutting off my head. Sometimes it's really tough. I think I've got this right, and then I look and it's really wrong. That's a little bit better, huh? All right, so feet hip width distance apart. We're gonna come to our chair pose. Shift the hips down, flatten the low back a bit. Bring the hands to heart. Inhale here, long spine, tailbone heavy. Exhale, fold. Now lifting halfway, you can hook the hips if you like, or just keep those cues in mind as you lengthen the spine. On an exhale, step back into plank. Come to the belly. And we'll do one back bend here. So a little baby cobra, maybe if you're starting to loosen up, you can come into a high cobra. Coming back down, tuck the toes, downward facing dog. Let's take the right leg back and up. Step it forward. Now drop that back heel in. We're coming up into warrior one. This is Surya Namaskar B. Roll those little fingers towards each other. Reach up. Exhale, fold forward. Find plank. Come to the belly. Find your back bend. Exhale down. Tuck the toes. Down dog. Lift the left leg back and up. Step it forward. Setting up for warrior one. Inhale, rise up. Take a couple breaths here in warrior one. And exhale, fold. Find plank. Come to the belly. Back bend. Come back down, tuck the toes, down dog. Step it forward, feet hip distance apart. This time I want you to swing your arms forward, and we're going to lift up into our chair pose. And then all the way up. Bring the hands together. Exhale the hands home to the heart. Let's do one more of those. Come into chair. Reaching those fingertips down, hovering your sit bones right over your heels. Sometimes the tendency is to bend forward and really arc the low back, and that gets real uncomfortable. That's a pretty big extension of the lumbar spine with a lot of weight hanging here. So tuck the tailbone. See if you can sit a little lower. And on an exhale, fold forward. Inhale, lift halfway, lengthen. Exhale, step back into plank to the belly. Take your back bend. Come down. Tuck the toes, down dog. Right leg back and up, way up there. Step it forward. Warrior one. Fold forward. Plank. To the belly. Take your back bend. Coming down on the exhale, tuck the toes, down dog. Lift the left leg back and up. Step forward. Warrior one. Exhale, fold. Plank. To the belly. Back bend. Exhale down. Tuck the toes, down dog. 2 big steps forward, feet hip distance apart. Drop the butt, swing the arms out, and lift up into chair. Exhale, hands to heart. Inhale, lift your prayer. And exhale the hands down to the sides. So that was chair from mountain pose feet. Sometimes, in fact, a lot of times, we do chair pose from Samastitihi. I'm never sure if I pronounced that right. Bring the big toes to touch and keep a little space in between the heels. Same cues here. I want you to drop the heels and start to reach down towards, without rounding, we're just letting those fingers float down towards the ankles. Tailbone's really heavy, so a little flattening of the low back. Bring your hands to heart. Maybe you sink a little lower. So the weight, it should be really easy to lift your toes. Your weight's in your heels and in your hips. As you sink a little lower, have to bring a little more focus to not hyperextending the low back. So heaviness in the tailbone. Feel the thighs work. Inhale, long spine, lengthen through the crown of the head. Exhale, fold forward. On an inhale, lift halfway. Exhale, step back and plank. Come to your belly. Maybe you're ready for up dog, so pressing into the tops of the feet, lift and down. Tuck the toes, down dog. Swing the right leg back and up. Step it forward, warrior one. And fold. Step back and plank. Drop to the belly. Take your back bend. You have choices. You can always just meet me in down dog. Step the left leg back and up. Step forward. Warrior one feet. Rise up. Spin those little fingers towards each other. Exhale, fold. Plank to the belly, or chaturanga if that's a new practice. To your back bend and down. Tuck the toes, down dog. Now step forward by bringing your toes together, Samastitihi. Drop the hips. Reach forward with the arms. As you rise up, bring hands to heart. Just to experience sensation here. So look down at your toes. Should be able to see at least the tips of them. Tailbone heavy. On your next inhale, reach up. Exhale the arms down to the sides. Let's do that one more time. This time I want you to reach forward and up with the arms. And then dropping the hips, reach forward and we're going to fold. Now lifting. Keep your arms up by your ears. Roll those little fingers in, just like we did with warrior one. Shoulders are shoulder blades on the back. You can bring your arms out a little forward of the ears, or if you have the space and you can keep the shoulders dropped, you can bring them a little further up. You can even look up, bringing the hands together. Think about the pelvis. Do you need to flatten the back a little to feel more comfortable? And then exhale, we'll fold. Step back and plank. Come to the belly. Find your back bend. And down. Tuck the toes, down dog. Swing the right leg back and up. Step it forward. Warrior one. Spin those little fingers in. Feel the shoulders. Fold forward on an exhale. Plank. To the belly. To your back bend. Back down, tuck the toes, down dog. Swing the left leg back and up. Step it forward. Warrior one feet. Spin those little fingers towards each other. Exhale, fold. Step back and plank to the belly. Find your back bend. And down. Tuck the toes. Down dog. Step forward. Big toes touch. Sink those hips down. Swing your arms forward. Spin those little fingers towards each other. Lift up in Utkatasana. Tailbone heavy. Bring the hands together, but keep the upper arms externally rotated. You can look at the hands. Tailbone heavy. So you kind of look like a bolt of lightning. All these angles. Then inhale all the way out. Maybe take a back bend here. And exhale the arms to the sides. That was a little work. Inhale up. Let's fold forward. Come to the belly and find crocodile. Separate the legs, left and right edges of the mat. Stack the hands. Rest the forehead down. I'm going to keep my head lifted because of the microphone. Now we've done some back bends. Let's bend the knees and help to release the back. So sway the shins like windshield wipers, but make sure the hips come along with the movement. And it can feel really good to circle the shin bones around the knee joint. But focus on a lot of movement in the low back. And bring the shins down. And we'll take about 5-6 breaths here. As you exhale, release, let go, and melt. Give yourself permission to rest. Remember, we need both rest and action. They're equally important. So let's take an opportunity here to bring some release, bring some rest. 2 more breaths. Bring the feet together. Press into table. Let's take a child's pose to really release the low back. So the hips can go back towards the heels, arms out long, nice stretch in the side body. And walk the hands to the right. Kind of push the floor away and send your hips back and down. Walk to the left. Push the floor away, send the hips back and down. And then come to a seated position. We'll come to Dandasana with the legs long. And this time, legs are hip distance apart. Take the hands behind you. So open the shoulders and place the hands behind you so the fingers point towards your feet. Spread the fingers wide. And just like down dog or table, press into the base of the thumb and the index finger. Grip the mat with the fingertips. Draw your elbows towards each other a little bit. Now push into the floor and lift some of the weight of the rib cage off the pelvis and come up onto the sit bones with that same lightness. You may need to bend your knees a little bit. Keep your feet flexed. Now inhale the arms up. And reach. We're going to fold forward here. Paschimottanasana. Wherever the hands land, it can be on your shins, it might even be behind the knees. Just depends on the flexibility of the back side of your leg. Fall forward. Breathe. And on an inhale, come back up. Bend the right knee. Now keep space. We're keeping everything still hip distance apart. So look between the foot and the thigh. You should have a little space there. And then make the action of stepping up onto the right foot. So you rise up onto the sit bones, neutralize the pelvis, wrap the left arm around the knee. Maybe you stay here. Maybe you take the right arm up, back, and down. Push down onto the mat like we did when we were getting ready for Dandasana. Kind of lift up off the sit bones a bit. So you're just bringing weight off the sit bones. You're not completely lifting them. And then maybe twist. Keep the thigh tight. Breathing into the belly, breathing diaphragmatically. Strengthening the diaphragm, making it a little more difficult to take a nice deep inhale. Now unwind, bring the left leg a little past the midline now, so things aren't hip distance apart. We're going to take the right foot across the left thigh, but once again we're coming up on the sit bones. Keep the left foot flexed, keep that right knee drawn tight. Maybe you twist here, maybe you don't. Breathe into the belly. Now unwind, and we're going to bow down to that left side. So I'm going to roll over onto my left hip, bend the left knee, and sit back up. Keep the foot flexed, and it usually takes a little finessing for me to get into this shape. Both sit bones are reaching down towards the earth. Your right sit bone probably won't have as much weight as the left, but reach in that direction without leaning. You can stay here, or you can twist this as well. Feel the sensation wherever you're feeling it. Notice shoulders, notice hips, notice the breath. Now unwind, and you have the option of stacking the knees, coming into Gomukhasana, cow face. Grab your big toes with your peace sign fingers. If this is too intense, feel free to come into Sukhasana or just another forward fold in Dandasana. Long spine, so lengthen both directions. Heart leads the way forward and down. And breathe. On an inhale, come up. Take the hands behind you, and we're going to uncoil. Come back to Dandasana, legs long. Draw the elbows towards each other. Push into the hands as you lift ribs up away from the pelvis. Come up with that lightness, with that extension, and then reaching forward, a forward fold. And explore the sensation in your legs and compare left and right. Maybe with what we've done so far, you might notice a difference one side to the other. Maybe you do, maybe you don't. Just be curious. And then come back up. We'll take the second side, left foot, draw it up. And then we're going to act like we're going to step up on that left foot. Now we're on the tops of the sit bones. Right foot is flexed. Keep that foot active. Right elbow wraps around the left knee. You can stay here or bring the left arm up, back, and down, opening through the chest. And twist. And feel. Is the spine still nice and long, even though we're twisted? If you find you can't maintain that extension in the spine, back out of the twist until you can. And then unwinding, we'll take the right leg past the midline, left foot crosses, come up on the sit bones again. Open through the front chest. Breathe. Maybe this is it, or maybe you take another nice twist, long spine, and then exhale, twist. Feel the belly press into the thigh as you inhale. And then unwinding, keep the legs just like this. We're gonna bow down to the right leg this time, over onto the right hip. Bend the right knee and come up. And let those, my sit bones, I think it's my hamstrings, kind of want to hook a little bit around the sit bone, and I have to give them time to kind of slide across. Maybe you experience that, maybe you don't. Both sit bones reaching towards the earth. Reach up through the crown of the head. Shoulders are heavy, elbows are heavy. And this could feel really nice. Or maybe another twist. Lengthen through the spine before you take the twist. Let every inhale remind the spine to be long and tall. And every exhale, perhaps either recommitting to the twist or maybe a little deepening. Nothing forced. Unwind. I'll stack the knees if you're taking Gomukhasana with me, or Sukhasana, or Dandasana. Reach out for your big toes with your peace sign fingers. Open those shoulders. Lead with the heart folding forward. Any amount. Keep your feet flexed here. It shouldn't be painful, especially in the knees. And inhale up. Take the hands behind you. Unwind. Legs out long, and let's kind of tap the legs. Bend the knees and then bring the legs out wide. Come up onto the sit bones. You can wiggle around here. Upavista Konasana. Kona means angle, so wide angle. Start on the heels. Draw those toes towards the knee. So we're flexing the foot. Now roll the toes inward like you're pigeon-toed. Again, that's that internal rotation of the thighs. That's going to open up some space in the low back. Broadens the sit bones. Heart leads the way here as well. So inhale, lengthen through the spine. Exhale, the movement happens at the hip creases. This isn't a rounding of the back. It's a forward fold. Now wherever your hands land, you can give yourself a little help. And then pause when you feel the low back wants to round. That means you've gone just a wee bit too far. So back up just a little and then rotate on the heels so the toes point upward. Sometimes holding here will release the tension in the muscles and invite you a little bit deeper. Maybe, maybe not. And fingertips to the ground now. And work your way back up. Reach behind you again. Bring the feet wide, knees bent. Let's drop the knees to the right and take the gaze to the left. Second side. Once more. And now let's come to the back. I'm going to switch my mats here. And feet and knees hip distance apart again. Lift the back, tuck the shoulder blades. Now drop the right knee open like the page of a book. And just pause here for a moment. And then taking a number 4, cross the right ankle past the left thigh, flex the foot. Just use your legs to lift the thighs. I'm pushing my right knee away, and at the same time I'm drawing my left ankle closer. If you want to deepen this, you can lace the fingers behind the left thigh or even in front of the left shin. Breathe. Rotate through the left ankle, wiggle those left toes. And then unwind. And we'll take the second side. Let's drop that knee open like a page of a book and experience that shape too, just that opening. And then taking your number 4, using the legs. Pushing left knee away, but drawing the left ankle closer. Deepening if you like by using the hands Go through the ankle and the toes. And then floating down. Now bring both knees into the chest and extend the legs up long. Bring your arms out wide and draw a circle, keeping your legs together. So sort of like that samastitihi that we were doing. And feel that nice massage in the low back. Feel the core as you make the circle bigger. Go a few more in the other direction. And then settle in for a little shavasana. Hips are probably nice and open. I always like a supta baddha konasana, so reclined bound angle pose. Find some place where you're supported. And now we're working to release and let go. Opening up space. Integrating all that we've done during our practice today. Letting the physical body open, letting the energetic body open. Allowing that integration. Rest here in stillness. Gently bring the hands back to the belly and bring the legs back to the way we started. Feel the rise and fall of the belly under the hands. Let's take one more good morning stretch, nice arc in the low back. And one more Apanasana, press the back down. Roll over to your right side, stay there. Rest your head on your arm. Stack the hips. Look around a little bit. And then reach long with the top leg. Press the hands to the mat and come back up to a seated position. So chair pose. We focused on the pelvis. And I think people that don't like that pose perhaps are hyperextending the lumbar spine, putting a lot of strain and stress there. And with a little awareness, it's a very powerful pose, and it is an excellent pose to retain the skills that we need as we get older. Squatting is really important. It's that up and down out of a chair that we need to retain. We need to maintain the strength in the hips. If we fall down, we have to be able to get back up, right? All right, let's reach up. Grab some sunshine. I see the sunshine. And bring it down to the heart. Fill up your heart. Fill up that tank for the weekend. May you have peaceful thoughts, peaceful words, a peaceful heart, and a peaceful world. Namaste. So beginning Wednesday, I'm changing the time of that class. It's still going to be a cardio, tone, and strength, but we're switching it to 7 a.m. We'll see if more people are able to attend. Give me some feedback if you've attended that class or if you're just joining me for the first time on Wednesday. It's a 45-minute class as well. I incorporate cardio, some light hand weights can be helpful, not necessary. I generally teach it in a circuit fashion, so we do 3 or 4 exercises over a period of time, take a break, do some more. We do some cardio, which is just kind of a well-rounded exercise. Have a great weekend. I'll see you next week, Monday, 7 a.m. yoga.